What's up, YouTube? On this episode of Coddiwomple Overland, we're going to be going to the Cape Lookout National Seashore. On a sunny September morning, 6 vehicles set out on what will be a 9-day excursion toward the Cape Lookout National Seashore. Well, this trip was planned to be an epic vacation on the beach. It turned into a true overlanding adventure. We'd been watching the weather all week, as we knew it was hurricane season, and Hurricane Teddy, one of the largest hurricanes of the year, was lurking off of the coast of North Carolina. We were set to catch our ferry on Sunday. The plan was to stop somewhere in the middle of North Carolina, stay overnight, and then drive on down to the ferry. While driving that morning, we get a phone call from the ferry service saying ferry service had been suspended until Tuesday because of storm surge and overwash from Hurricane Teddy. And this is when the true overlanding adventure began. The first night went as planned. We stayed at Umstead State Park in Raleigh, North Carolina, which was just over halfway to Cape Lookout. We hung out for a little while by the fire. Everybody was tired, especially the kids. It had been a long day of traveling so far. We woke up the next morning and it was quite a bit chillier than it should have been on a September day. This cold snap would be the theme for the next few days. We really didn't get into any kind of hurry because at this point we had nowhere to go. After looking at Guy Maps and iOverlander, we decided to go ahead and head toward the coast, try to work our way down to the Croatan National Forest. And this is where we found the ultimate place to set up camp, hang out for a couple days, and wait for time to go to the island. Everybody made quick work of getting camp set up. Then it was time to do what we came to do, and that was kick back, relax, and enjoy each other's company.
Okay, now pull me over. Look, he's doing pull up every year.
Hey, quit throwing like a girl thing.
I'm gonna check this one here in a minute. Ah, see now you got my head.
After dinner and as the sun went down, we all gathered around the fire for the evening. And just like any other camp, there were stories that had to be told.
Kind of got off the rails here because we went into a tree instead of a tower after the princess.
Uh-oh. The next morning was actually cooler than the previous. You can tell here by Tab wrapped up in her blanket while she was fixing breakfast.
I know, that's why I keep doing this.
The rest of the day was spent relaxing, taking walks, and just enjoying the solitude and being able to get away. And of course, with this crew, you never know what you're going to find.
Okay, that works, yeah. Okay, we got it right now.
Alright.
After our walk, it was time to eat, and this would set the stage for the rest of the kind of meals that we were having the rest of the week. And no, that little worm thing didn't make it on the menu.
Yes, I got you some stuff. We'll share.
There it is. Is it still for you?
Okay.
And
Tuesday morning, we started breaking down camp, had a little bit of breakfast. This was the day we were going to the beach.
Get through? Oh, you're tricky. You can get right through there. The best thing is, 'cause
After saying goodbye to Long Point, it was time to get on the road. After leaving camp, we made a stop, picked up some last minute supplies and fuel. We had a little bit of extra time, so we took a scenic drive down across Emerald Isle. There was still quite a bit of inland flooding from the storm. We had finally made it to the ferry. We had to split up because the ferry wasn't big enough for all the vehicles, so 2 of the vehicles went over first and then the rest of them came over later. But we went ahead and ate as a group before everybody loaded up onto the boat. And just like that, we were on our way to the island. On the island, we were met by a very informative camp host.
You got the additional miles, keep that in mind for your gas, because you're four-wheeling. You got to take your air out of your tires. I'll get my husband to tell you how far to take them down. Don't tell me you're not going to.
This island was already beyond beautiful. It was exactly what we were looking for. After reading the beach driving directions and looking at the map, we waited on the others and then made our way on down the coast.
these are so pretty.
We found us a nice spot right up next to the dune line, just away from the high tide line. It was time to set up camp.
Jeez.
So sometimes when I go camping, I really have to rough it. Boy. Shoo.
I'm not sure we could have picked a better spot. That night we enjoyed an amazing beach fire. The next morning we woke up to one of the most epic sunrises that I have ever seen.
There is a beach turkey. Beach turkey in its natural environment. Run, beach turkey. Run. Oh no, you better be careful, beach turkey.
After an episode of National Geographic by Bill Skaggs, it was time to take advantage of the wind. We got some kites out.
Yeah, all the kids are out flying kites.
Some of the kites were bigger than others.
Oh, good catch.
Well, this is high tide, as you can see. It's been very high. Our campsite is just right there. So, pretty high tide, but the water is falling, so it's all good.
No, you gotta get Kelly in there too.
That's some sexy stuff right there. Just for the record, those beach driving instructions, not everybody in the group read them. We couldn't believe just how peaceful this place was. There wasn't any other campers anywhere around us.
Watch Bill, stop.
This was pretty interesting. There were some Park Service biologists checking on the turtle eggs. Another cool sight was the occasional osprey flying by. The backside of the island, or the sound side, is much more calm. This is also where the old structures, including the lighthouse, is. We took a whole afternoon and evening and went exploring all of these old structures.
I bet that was the church.
After our adventure, Deb fixed a Cajun boil, which was the highlight dinner of the trip, followed by a colored campfire and s'mores.
I'm afraid that dye is going to give us the squirts.
Just take a look.
The next day, we knew we had some weather coming in. What they were given actually was up to 40 to 45 mile-an-hour winds and up to 2 inches of rain. So we called a group meeting to make a plan.
Baby G and little brother G may have problems getting out.
So we decided to pack up, move north up on the island, and get around the two big water holes that were surely to trap us. The north end of the island was actually laden with old car frames. They say they put them there in the 50s or 60s to help with the sand dunes.
This is our last day on the beach. And we'll spend the night tonight and then make our 2-day journey back home.
It was about this time that the wind really started picking up. We had no choice but to stick the OVS rooftop tent kind of up on its own, while we decided to kind of hide the Gazelle tent behind the vehicles. The clouds were looking darker and darker, and the wind was getting stronger and stronger. But we didn't let that dampen our spirits any at all.
Okay.
Who else besides Alan and Nancy would bring a fondue pot overlanding on the beach? That night we didn't video much at all. We spent most of the night hunkered down in the tents as the winds got up to almost 50 miles an hour. 3 of our group actually ended up spending the night in their vehicles. We had a last big meal on the beach before everybody started getting ready to leave. Just like coming over, we're going to send part of the group over first, and a couple of us had to stay over and wait for the next ferry.
Goodbye, Cape Lookout.
As the first part of the group got on the ferry and left, that gave Nancy, Alan, me, and Deb an opportunity to go all the way to the north end of the island to explore it a little bit. I got to tell you, it looks totally different than the rest of the island. It looked like we were in a totally different place. After a little exploring, it was time to make our way back so we could catch our ferry. We decided to hit the roads on the back side of the dunes on the way back. We made it back in plenty enough time to air up before we got on the ferry. On the way back across the sound, we decided to start looking for somewhere to stay for the night. I called the Jamalki campground just beside Mount Pilot in North Carolina. The guy there was super nice, and he said that he would make room for us to come on. That's where we decided to go for the night. As we were docking on the mainland, as if almost on cue, the dolphins came by to say farewell. Once we were all back on the mainland, it was time to make our way towards home.
Yep, got it. 2 o'clock high.
The beach turkeys are out in force this morning. Everywhere.
Leave it to Bill to get bird shit on when you call her.
Our long day on the road turned into night. It was almost 11 o'clock before we got to where we wanted to camp. Deb fixed filet mignon and Kelly started a fire. From our campsite, we had a view of Pilot Mountain, but you really can't see it here in the video. The next morning we wanted to see Pilot Mountain, but the fog wasn't going to let that happen. We did take a tour of the campground here. Everybody said this was the nicest shower facilities that they had seen at a campground. They also said that it was the best shower pressure that they had had in the last 2 weeks. This campground really caters to overlanders. If you're ever in the Pilot Mountain area, be sure and stop in for a visit. After a quick stop for breakfast, we started our 4-hour trip on home. We had an awesome 9-day adventure. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed doing it. This is definitely a trip that we would recommend. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching Coddiwomple Overland. Until next time, see ya.